Get ready to quit the build.
Here we go.
The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
What it do? You are listening to the QTB podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, and with me, the boys of QTB, the brothers McMuffin, winners, premier sponsor. That's right, it's Nick and Brad. What it do, boys?
Oh my gosh. Are we sponsoring winner? The other way around?
No. Oh, well, just like Nick.
Why not?
He said it right.
He said it right.
Did I say it right?
Yeah. Okay. I heard that wrong.
Maybe, I don't know.
What's going on? Welcome into another episode here, episode 131 of the QTB podcast. We are getting ready to round out what has been, a really interesting year in gaming, I think, for a number of reasons, challenges, wins, and I think nothing better encapsulated that than what we saw this year at the Game Awards. So I'm excited to hop into that. And even a little bit more there with the story about the FTC blocking the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. I mean, Brad, it's, well, we've had really 2 weeks in a row here of just like, hey, we got to jump into this because there's lots to talk about, right?
It is the end of the year. Everyone's trying to squeeze in something big before 2023 comes. We're only 2 weeks away, gents. We've got Christmas, we've got the New Year, and everyone said, wait, we want to drop a little bit more gaming news before we get to 2023. So
it all happens at the same time. Yeah.
They're I don't know what it is this year. They're trying to make up for lost time of the past couple, the pandemic years. They're like, we got to make up some stuff and do more in the latter part of the year. So
yeah, I think you said it, Nick. It's been a banner year and a very interesting year for a lot of reasons. I mean, we kicked off the year with this announcement of the acquisition, right? And we talked about the top 5 biggest acquisitions and how to scale, this has been the largest. I mean, we're talking $69 billion. And just what the gaming market industry looks like now. And now we're at the end of the year, and this deal has yet to go through yet, and we're seeing some complications. So, it is gaming is now being treated in macroeconomics just like a lot of other industries. It is very interesting to see.
Right. Well, no doubt, and we're going to be hopping right into it here in a little while. But first, of course, we like to open up our show here with a little bit of what you've been playing. And I'll tell you, I am... Thank you, Bruno. I mean, we have had a lot of fun. It's not official without the stinger. That's all I know.
No.
We're not officially in a new segment next. Is that we have been just having an absolute blast here on our Fall Guys night streams on TikTok, just getting the community together and playing these new maps. This new season of Fall Guys, I have to say, is it's a lot of fun. They brought out the new sliding function where you can belly flop and slide, and there's like slides you can use, and they've kind of enhanced some past maps. The underwater theme is awesome. They have the new SpongeBob pack, right? You can get Patrick and Sandy and all those. Now they got the holiday things in there. They just added the holiday events. Yeah, and the Grinch is new for this year. You can get the Grinch in his Santa outfit with or without the Christmas tree, and so many other great ones. Fall Guys, Fortnite is definitely the king of crossovers, but Fall Guys right now for me is in a solid second place. Like they know how to secure some IPs.
Well, it's another epic game, so I'm sure they're throwing that in there with the licensing, right?
Contract,
at the tables, like they're like, hey, and by the way, we got another game that you might be interested in, and it's called Fall Guys, and
there it is.
Something like this.
Whole soundtrack's on the soundboard. There you go. That and also we had a pretty emotional moment there again on Power Wash Simulator. We got to the very end of the game and did all the bonus cleans. Even did some speed running there. They have some challenges, so we're officially benching Power Wash after I want to say 9 or 10 streams at this point, and moving on to another game.
Song? Can we play the farewell? Like, Bruno, no. Do we not have?
No, you just get.
Do
once.
I have a sad song that we can play? I mean,
you know what I'm talking about?
I'll look for something.
And at the end of that was the Hulk or whatever when he's he's walking down the street.
Oh, the sad walking away
sad
song
walk.
from.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't have any sad walking. This is the what? Oh wait, I do have a sad song.
That's sad. That's yeah,
yeah.
okay. There you go.
These are the deaths of our lives. This is complete dismal behavior right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do we got any inside scoop on what's going to fill this Power Wash void? Or anything to break to the listeners, or still under wraps?
ASMR route, you know what I mean? We're talking about possibly some Stardew Valley. I will tell you that there is a cult hit, like classic right now on Steam. It is called Rubber Duck Simulator. That is literally, it's just a pool where a bunch of different rubber ducks like fall into the pool, and you just marvel at how cute these ducks are. Some have hats, some don't.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And I think that's internet content. TikTok's gonna love it. They go crazy for this stuff.
Content.
I leave it to Nick. Nick knows the trends, baby.
I try to keep up. What about you, Brad? What do you got going on this week?
Can we quote the Sir Mix-a-Lot song "Sweat Wet" got me going like a turbo vet, because I have been playing the new season of Fortnite and it has been sweaty. Let me tell you, it has been a rough go. Everyone's checking it out. Everyone's dropping in all over the map. You cannot find a place to even land and grab a gun and feel like you can get yourself situated. It has been absolutely. It's been rough. And Bruno and I have been playing together. We've been playing some duos, and duos is cutthroat right now. Usually mid-season duos is pretty fun. It's not as aggressive, but man, right now, I mean, we've gotten pushed into the storm. We're just trying to unlock the map, and it's just been, it's been rough. So, I think the one thing I'm excited about is as of today, the Christmas event is live. It's here. And that always brightens everyone and makes everyone a little bit more gleeful and joyful. We get some free prizes. Hopefully everyone takes a chill pill and says, "Hey, let's not just push everyone and to be super sweaty."
Yeah.
So
got my done. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. I know, Bruno, you want to chime in? How you been feeling? It's been pretty sweaty, hasn't it?
Definitely. I read an article that was saying that towards the beginning of each season, they kind of reset the matchmaking, ranking the MMR stats that are behind the scenes that we don't really get to see. And that kind of makes sense, because it does make each beginning of every season very, very sweaty, because you're playing against people that may be in a different league than you, or or just super aggressive.
Clearly.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it takes a couple
with
weeks
a pistol
to get
last
it.
night.
Yeah,
that's sweaty. That's sweaty. Yeah.
It's something that we're hoping that, changes. It usually does. And then when people start to figure out the map and where they need to go and where they like to go, then it'll become more routine. But at the beginning of every season, it's kind of rough.
Can we nerf the hammer already, please? Like that thing,
they did.
The end game is just pure. No, it needs more. This thing, literally, the end game. If you don't have a hammer, you're SOL.
No, the patch today just like nerfed it severely. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it has been so. When we do get to the end game, sometimes we don't have one, and let alone try to like approach, and especially in no build, like be able to like fire from a distance. These guys will just hop with their hammers, literally approach you and hit you into the storm, and you have no shot at all to recover. The storm's ticking at five ticks away every second. You're really just, it's at a major disadvantage. So hopefully with the new update and the nerf of the hammer, things are a little bit more balanced, but it's felt very aggressive and unbalanced with the hammer and the matchmaking kind of being, reset at the beginning of the season. So
sure.
But the new map is cool. I think it's got a lot to offer. I think it's very different. It's very unique compared to what we've seen before. And I think I'm anxious to kind of get into the season and kind of get into that, homeostasis and what we've got going on. So that's enough of my rant about Fortnite. So
what about you, Bruno? What do you got going on?
Big shout out to Dexter again for that super chat. Big money. I gotta say, you guys have been helping us keep the lights on and keep the games going, because I've been playing a little bit of Need for Speed Unbound. I've been, going around just doing a little bit of this business. Sorry.
He has been waiting so long to play that. He has had that on the board for so long.
I'm ready. We finally got a cool game to play. I've been playing that, and I'm ready. They just launched High on Life. That just came out today or last night, rather. And I am going to be doing a Let's Play, kind of a playthrough of the game, and we're going to put that whole kind of raw footage on Patreon, and then we're going to strip down some of the funny moments and more palatable YouTube friendly moments and put those on YouTube. But I'm assuming there's going to be quite a bit of violations when it comes to the terms of service for that type of game. It just looks hilarious. It looks super funny, and we're trying to bring some different content for everyone out there. Of course, we want to be as family friendly as we possibly can on our podcast and through TikTok, but we realize that some of you like the spicy conversations, and that's why we got QTB Nights, right? Like I don't have a like jazzy horn or something.
Yeah,
I do need a little saxophone
riff there.
Something or something. I don't know. All I have is like
Bruno, Nick, and Brad in the evening. Can I pull that from a show? In the evening instead of the morning.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it's an awesome little bonus content thing, and you're right, Bruno. A lot of streamers have been talking about like the first 10 minutes of the game has gotten them banned on streaming services. So even when you list it, there's some controversial things that happen. I'll say, to say the least. But from what I've heard, it is a very funny game. So,
but Nick, you know what's not controversial?
What's that, Brad?
Our relationship and the amazing app that Winner has put out there. Can we talk about that?
Oh my gosh, I'll tell you. Well, they are the official sponsor of the QTB network, Brad, and I'm glad you brought that up because it is time to ring in the holidays the only way we know how, with our friends
ding, ding.
at Winner. Because don't forget, you can your first win is free. What other gift do you need? Download the app and play, and you're going to get to play a wide selection of machines, real claw machines, in a real location that you can connect to and play anytime. There you go. Brad's doing it right now. And don't forget, he'll be okay. Use our promo code WhatItDo when recharging your tokens at pay.app.winnerwinner.com. You're going to get a sweet deal with 45% free bonus tokens on your next purchase. That's a huge, that's right. That's our biggest promotional code ever. That 45% bonus. Again, WhatItDo in caps. Link is in the description or in the show notes. Thank you, as always, to our amazing friends at Winner. We just wrapped up a huge session of Winner live trivia. I got to host Winner trivia, and I wasn't even in Vegas like I was the last time. And it was amazing. We had tons of viewers. We had some people win. I asked some pretty tough questions about video games that I actually put together myself. I was very proud of myself. We got 2 winners at the very end that survived the whole gauntlet. So kudos to you guys, because you know your stuff. I'm just saying. I asked a tough one. You'll like this one. I said, which of the following Nintendo consoles is not real? The Nintendo Wii, the Nintendo Wii U, or the Nintendo Wii Woo?
Wee woo.
The Wii. You never know with Nintendo. They're out there. But thanks as always to our amazing friends at Winner. Thank you to Dexter the Cat again. Multiple big super chats
out
there. You are awesome. Dexter is coming in clutch tonight. And I'll tell you what else came in clutch this week, and that was our big story for the week, the Game Awards. It's almost been a week, but people are still talking about them, about the funny moments, the big awards. That's right. This is Nick from QTB signing off, but not really. I'm not signing on. Yeah, because I'm not. Why did I say that? I'm not. I'm signing sideways.
Our top story
folks,
tonight,
this is a
Nick
live podcast.
Sure
if you didn't know already, this is a live podcast.
I should have just left.
That stays in the content. We do not edit that out. That is live. That is pure comedy gold.
It's gonna stay there. But yeah,
Game of the year.
Yeah. Well, Game of the Year surprise, right?
Yeah. So I got to tell you, we did a live stream. For those of you that were able to tune in on TikTok, we had a lot of fun actually streaming the entire broadcast of the Game of the Year awards. And man, it was like a 4-hour session for us. It was like one of the longest streaming stints I've done. And then, to see just how quick they were going through everything, because they kind of had to, because Christopher Judge, or excuse me, not Christopher Judge, what was it, Christopher Judge? The main,
the voice of Kratos,
yeah, the voice of Kratos,
Yep.
Christopher Judge, yeah. He kind of stole the show literally with Al Pacino. They were up there for the first 20 minutes just going over a speech, and of course, everybody post all the Kotaku and IGN and everybody praised his speech after the fact. They're like, oh yeah,
he had his Sally Field Oscar moment. You really like me. You really, really like me.
Yeah.
But they did have to scramble to find music because obviously they didn't have it set up because they let him go on for a while. And then all of a sudden they were like, we gotta get some music playing here, something to help us usher him off the stage, okay?
I will say this. There was someone that posted a picture on Twitter of the teleprompter in the background. And they said that for 4 minutes, and they showed a picture of it, it said in bold, italics, wrap it up, please. And that wasn't enough. He said he wanted to continue, he had more to say. He wanted to thank his wife, I think, at the very end. He's one of those guys that, he had a lot to say, but he had a hard time getting it out. And it was, his speaking style just led to a much slower pace. And so, I think they were as respectful as possible in letting him, do what he had to. But man, Jeff Keighley was looking for places to cut time there as the rest of the show went on.
Caitlin in chat said it was an 8-minute speech. Like I said, he said more in his acceptance speech than he did in the entire God of War game. Right. Maybe in the entire franchise.
Thanks for coming to my awards TED Talk.
You got all your voice cuts up for God of War 3. Just splice that up. Yeah.
And you're right, though. I will say that, it's great when somebody gets up and gives a really impassioned speech. I think it is undercut sometimes for time and rambling. Your point kind of gets lost, and it's kind of okay, this needed to be a little bit more. Yeah, it needs to be a little bit more succinct in order to have that impact that I think that will be lasting, because most people are going to remember it as a very long speech, and they kind of had to wrap up everyone else, very quickly from that point on because of how much time was taken. So, I felt like the next person that got up there to give a speech, they had the music ready and they're okay, we're going to need to go
what I wanted?
Quickly move on from this one. So
I want less speech. I want less cowbell, and I want more flute. Can I get some more flute, guys?
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Alto flute, to be specific. Yeah, that was that moment where the was it Pedro Eustache? Thank you. It's a saxophone, but it's the same family. It's a woodwind.
I know, it's whatever. This is the only cool thing I had for jamming to that guy, which I got to tell you, I was jamming, Nick. He stole the show. I've never seen a guy play the flute with that much aggression. And then not only did the man play the flute, but he played 4 different flutes throughout the thing. He was the only one changing instruments. Forget you guys, I got another flute back here. And
he's the first chair in multiple instruments.
Yes, he was the center of the entire orchestra. I felt like the camera guy knew what was up. He knew he had gold. He was like, this guy. And who is that guy, Nick?
That is Pedro Eustache.
Or Pedro, sorry, Pedro. He's the real MVP of the Game Awards. That's all I have to say, right?
He had his left shark moment. Yeah, he just stole the show. It was because that's a big
Kevin
moment
Durant, there. You the real MVP.
So at the end, what we're talking about at the end of every Game Awards, they have an orchestra come on and play a medley of all of the songs from the nominees from the Game of the Year.
Yeah.
And sometimes that ends up being really, really beautiful. Like this time, I think it was a really, really good collection of music. It's kind of weird when you throw a Mario game in there,
it happens.
Animal Crossing or something like that, and you've got this music does not go. I don't know how they jumped this circle of fifths and got in there, but
he's like if Bob Ross went into music, the dude's passion, the way he looks, the hair, totally there. I'm here for it. Can we get more? Can we get his story? Can we do an exclusive with him here on the show?
Yes.
We should try to get him because I mean it was great. Like I knew this guy was a rock star when like at the end of one of the sections when like his instrument was done, but they were moving into the next game. He has like he's playing with one hand, his other hand he does like a fist pump, and I'm like, oh, this man has just taken flute playing to the next level.
It was. I feel like some like their normal flute player called in sick that day, and the man was like, you know what, I can do this. I just give me the sheet music, and you know what, I brought my own flutes. I got you covered, and that's his story. Like I want a Netflix special. Yes. I want at least a 4-part episode, 45-minute, per episode special on Piccolo Man, aka Flute Guy. Pedro Eustache. Okay,
I love it.
That's what I want.
That's what we need.
Does anyone in the audience? Can anyone play? Play a little back in high school.
So there were
mm-hmm.
right. Like I just happened to bring my flute with me. Don't you worry about this. Okay, so there was a guy. There was a guy who actually played drums for the Who one time when Keith Moon passed out drunk backstage and couldn't come out to play.
Mm-hmm.
He would famously get drunk and barely be there to play drums, and they had to go on, and the Who basically looked out in the audience and was like, does anybody here play drums? And one kid raised his hand and they were like, come on up here, and he played the set while Keith Moon passed out in the back.
Amazing.
And could you imagine that story?
It's your moment.
Could you imagine that story for the rest of your life? You get to be that guy that went up on stage. That's Pedro.
You are that guy now. You are that guy.
That's the story that he is that guy, man. He's that guy.
We're hoping that's the story. If not, we're making it reality,
okay,
Pedro.
We're making
this is what you tell the press.
We're just get Hollywood on it. They'll embellish the story.
All right, Nick.
We'll get the
will.
Hollywood version of it.
Ring us back in some way.
We'll get John C. Reilly to play him.
Hold on. I got Bruno by the. Hold on. I got me a Marlin.
Listen, as long as we get John C. Reilly to play him, I'm fine. They both have the hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down with that. Anyway,
then we got a winner.
Moving on.
Well, let me ask this because our live stream, which was we were an official Game Awards live streamer on TikTok, which was amazing. Both Bruno and myself were co-streaming that. Brad, since you were not you were in the chat during that stream, but not actually on screen. I mean, what was your take on it? Because I think a lot of people have heard ours. Were there any big surprises for you in terms of reveals or awards that caught you off guard?
I was happy that I was a big advocate for Stray going into the awards. I felt like it deserved to be recognized, and it did win a couple awards, which was really great. I think it was on theme for what I expected. We thought for most of the categories it was a two game race, and we saw that one clearly was the overall winner of the night. So. Nothing too surprising. I think for me, there's always things that we're not, you're not quite sure how it's going to go, and you're kind of wondering what's going to happen. And I think we've talked about the speech and things that these shows never go according to plan, right? And so I think
anytime you've got live events, right?
I mean, even the ending,
that
right?
Many people.
Someone crashed
Well, let's get into that. Get into that. Okay, so.
Uh-huh.
First of all, I think it all kind of took us by surprise because it didn't make any sense whatsoever. Right. I think it's like one of those like Toad the Wet Sprocket things that when you're in the know, you're in the know.
What a pull. Yeah.
And I feel like that, it was probably, I don't know if he was trying to joke. Or if it, he came out since and said that he did it as a joke or whatever. But like, it doesn't, I don't know. Like, that's the weirdest sense of humor I've ever seen. And I gotta say, like, Gen Z and younger are known for like having a more unique sense of humor. That's a little bit more oddballish, but that was just really weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird to come on stage. And I think the bigger implication obviously came down to like the security. Right?
They really dropped the ball.
Yeah, somehow somebody could just walk up on stage And, there were rumors going around the mill about, how it was staged and all this kind of stuff, but that's not a good look to stage a security breach, right?
Yeah.
Like
you don't ruin a game of the year award speech with something like that in the way that's staged, especially when you have Japanese developers up there that respect and a certain way of doing things is the absolute norm. I mean, Brad, when I saw this, I thought to myself, okay, this is weird. And we had kind of I never really said it, but there are people in the chat that were saying it because the entire speech, this kid is standing in the back. You can see him just, and part of me is like, okay, well, he definitely stands out for a number of reasons. Seems a little younger compared to the other guys on stage. But for all I know, this is some like musical or development, kid prodigy that's been part of this project because no one seems to notice. And it wasn't until he came out that the security kind of swarmed in. You got to figure someone lost their job there because they didn't do their job, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Well, here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like we were everyone was expecting a sweep of God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And so that was very, very established in what was coming up in the awards that night. But we were all holding out for Game of the Year, and everyone really was pulling for Elden Ring. And it ended up winning. So, for those of you who missed it, and Elden Ring won Game of the Year. And the developer, the Japanese developers that came up were very... it's not, you don't play around with that type of presentation, right? That's not the place, especially from the developer standpoint, because a lot of the Japanese developers aren't kind of in on this type of thing. So to get them out from behind the computer and in front of people like that is already a huge step. Right. It's already a huge ask to get them on stage. And then you go ahead and ruin it like that. Like, it makes you wonder, will they even show up next time?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a big cultural mishap. Like you said, Bruno, maybe folks here in America thought it was funny or got the humor, especially the younger generations. But when you work and you get to be around people from around the world, America is a very unique and special place for a lot of reasons, but we're very different. We're very unique, right? And Eastern cultures, especially folks in Japan and other countries, there's a hierarchy of respect and honor that especially when you're winning an award or presenting something of that nature to someone. And to have that be interrupted or be kind of even just, marred by something like that, it is disheartening to see that. And hopefully we have other developers from across the world continue to come and be a part of the Game Awards in person, especially when they're a strong candidate to win and receive such a prestigious award. So definitely not our finest moment as an awards or as a country. So
there was a moment there in the Game Awards where, just to kind of rally off your points, Bruno and Brad, where Jeff Keighley kind of got a little emotional because we got the world first premiere of Armored Core 6. And that is from Software, same company that is producing Elden Ring. And Armored Core is a beloved franchise, hasn't had a new game in quite a while. And you could see that when Jeff was getting ready to present it, there was some gravity, there was some weight, and that him getting ready to say it, you can tell he was getting choked up. And that's because it showed the impact now and the renown that the Game Awards have as kind of the place to premiere your game. And so for these Eastern companies and studios to not only show up for these awards, but also say, hey, we want that right there in the States, in Los Angeles, California, to be where we want our game to be shown to the world, is a big deal. And not only that, but you even had the head of Final Fantasy 16, right, the creator of Final Fantasy 16, Naoki Yoshida, that showed up there at the very end to reveal the newest trailer for Final Fantasy 16. So there's very much a growing presence where, in the absence of things like E3 and other similar things, where this is the big place where people are still getting together, and that's where these Eastern companies want to broadcast their content and reveal their content. It's I think it's a really exciting time seeing the shift in power from E3 and these decentralized locations to this one big night of not only awards but reveals. You get so much in one show.
Well, the cool thing is we're building a bridge, and that bridge is made of the video game industry, right? We're seeing a huge shift in just the Eastern, um, market in general, right? Like the Asian market when it comes to Xbox. Xbox has done extremely well this year in those markets, and that's something that has been previously dominated by PlayStation and Nintendo. And so to have an American company kind of come in and kind of build build that bridge and shorten the gap between those two, I think that we're going to start to see a lot of really interesting games on both sides, because I feel like, us as Americans, we have really missed the ball when it comes to arcades and whatnot. I mean, Nick and I, we have talked about, numerous times our desire to go to Japan simply for the arcades and the amount of fun that you can have there.
Better believe it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Bruno,
that's the dream.
traveling to Japan, going to Japan may be pretty expensive, but you know where you can also go and get amazing experience, but for really cheap? Our Patreon, right, Nick?
What's that?
Oh my gosh, Brad is the guy with the segues this week. You never know where they're going to come from. And sometimes, it's Devil's Bradvocate over here that gets us there. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Brad. And thank you to all of our amazing supporters over at Patreon, our QTB and Fuego supporters, Epic Capture Productions, Matt.Bat, Alexa, Caitlin, Josh, Court, Nene, and Megan, and our QTB Plus supporters, Nick, the Dudist Monk, Indie Gamiacs, Alan Abadessa, Mr. Grove Games, the Intergalactic Pinecone, Fluffy Bunny, and Terry the Kitten. And if you want to join that growing list of supporters, you can for $5 a month or more at the QTB Plus and up tier, but as little as $2 a month directly supports our brand of positive and inclusive content and gets you access to a huge back catalog of our QTB Nostalgia Vault bonus podcast and our new recurring monthly podcast, QTB Nights, where the topic can be anything. Our Patreon supporters get to join in on the conversation. It's a lot of fun, a very, very cool format, and you're also going to get merch you can't get anywhere else. Check it out at patreon.com/quitthebuild. Well, when we talk about quit the build, we talk about mental health and the idea behind it, that when a game is getting too stressful, you back out and take a break. But there are some people in the gaming industry who cannot take breaks, and a lot of them are lawyers these days. And I know if there's one group that's not going to be taking a break anytime soon, it's everybody tied up in this huge legal battle. Our next story coming from The Verge, talking about the FTC, which is, of course, the Federal Trade Commission, a body in the U.S. that, oversees acquisitions of large companies and mergers like this, and sometimes moves to block them. And in this case, they are doing exactly that. They are attempting to kind of get this thing held up in court. They have filed a legal challenge for that $68 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. The lawsuit was filed after weeks of back and forth between Microsoft, Sony, and of course, Call of Duty just keeps getting named as one of the reasons and central problems and the value of that franchise. And right away, we saw that when this happened, right, because there had already been a back and forth where Microsoft had been struggling with other bodies like the EU. Their equivalent of the FTC was giving some pushback, but I think eventually signed off on it. And then the FTC comes in at the 11th hour and is like, wait a second, I don't know about this. So, I mean, I'm gonna kick it over to you first, Bruno, because I know Brad has a big rant here in the works. Like, what's just your hot take on this? Like, you read this and you see that there's even more friction being added to this process for something that Microsoft has been honestly pretty transparent about and forthright about, working with other companies, even like Nintendo, to give them access to the Call of Duty franchise. I mean, do you think that this adds any fuel to the fire to say that it shouldn't happen?
I mean, I think it was typical. I think it's, I've mentioned this before. I think when you are spending billions of dollars on anything, you're going to raise a few eyebrows. And it unfortunately comes at the expense of, I would say, innovation in terms of what PlayStation is willing to do. And Phil Spencer recently came out and said something that really stuck with me. he basically said PlayStation doesn't want to, I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said PlayStation doesn't want to lead by innovating. They want to lead by crushing Xbox. You know, they don't want Xbox to exist, and that's how they want to win, right? Well, that to me is a very monopolistic approach to your business, because it's basically saying, instead of trying to be better than the competition, we just don't want the competition to exist. And if they had the money, they would be doing the same thing. They'd be trying to buy out something or whatever, but they don't, right? We're talking trillions of dollars, but that Microsoft has, versus, maybe close to, a few billion for Sony in general, and that's Sony in general, right? I'm not talking about the PlayStation avenue of the business, which is probably significantly less. So, for me, it really comes down to, it just feels like the people who are agreeing with this don't really have any basis for why they think it shouldn't go on. They talk about monopolies. They talk about how, one company shouldn't have that much power or whatever. But honestly, with the approaches that Microsoft has already made with approaching Nintendo to ensure that these deals, stay on consoles, and all of the numbers that we've seen, right? That PlayStation essentially outnumbers the amount of users on Call of Duty versus Xbox by like 2.5 million. So from a fiscal standpoint, it makes absolutely no sense for Microsoft to purchase Activision Blizzard and then make the games a console exclusive, as even if you're assuming people would literally buy the console for your game. I don't think that's in their back. That's where they're at. I think that owning studios is the way that they want to continue this path for the live service. And that's ultimately what I think PlayStation is afraid of. They're afraid of the live service. They're not afraid of exclusive games, because they've clearly shown from the Game of the Year awards that they can sweep that. 3 out of the 5 nominees were I would say PlayStation / PC exclusive, right? They weren't offered on Nintendo or Xbox. So from an exclusive standpoint in the console world, they had it, right? 3 out of the 5, and they still want to complain and, try and pull Call of Duty from this, when that's the only game they mention, in this entire thing, not the fact that Activision Blizzard owns, the entire Overwatch. We've got, Hearthstone, on that. We've got Spyro. We've got Crash Bandicoot. All these other games, right, that they have, the IPs for. But no, they don't care about that. They only care about Call of Duty. It shows where their mindset is. Brad, I'm sure you got more to say. What do you got?
Just to reiterate your point about size comparison, and then these figures may be somewhat ballpark, depending on the day, but Microsoft's market cap is 2.271 trillion. Okay, trillion. When we look at Sony, their market cap's around 143 billion. So just take that into account in terms of like legitimate size. Microsoft is several times larger than Sony, right? And so, Sony doesn't have the macroeconomic ability to even put in an offer near the level that Microsoft put forward for this Activision Blizzard acquisition. So what do they do? You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see their financial records for 2022 and see how much in their cash flow had they had an operating expense for money donated to the FTC, because that's what they're doing, right? I mean, let's be real here. I really think this is an example of where they are funding the FTC to sue and to try to prevent this deal from going through, because you're right, Bruno. their business strategy is exclusivity, and to make you feel as an owner of another console that you do not have the right or the access to the top tier games in the industry, and that you are playing mediocre games, and that sure, it's the bargain bin, you pay a flat fee, you get to play all these garbage games. No, come to our platform, pay for individual games that are worth your money. And if that model holds true, in 5-10 years, we're going to see $100 exclusive games that you have to pay for each time on a console that they're having issues manufacturing, or are they just trying to control the narrative here and not put out a lot of consoles to create an exclusive, limited network of gamers who have the privilege, access, and ability to be able to obtain a console and afford to buy those games. And that's the complete 180 of what we're seeing with Microsoft and Xbox doing deals with Nintendo, creating this service platform with the Game Pass to make gaming affordable and accessible for a large audience. And it's a complete 180 of business strategies, and it's really frustrating when, like you said, Bruno, they're trying to not embrace competition, embrace that the industry is large enough to have everyone be a player here and different models can exist, but to really kind of say, no, we're gonna try to stop this from happening because it's got our bread and butter exclusive title, Call of Duty, right? And it's just it's hard for me to watch and witness, because it's like, no, have I ever owned a PlayStation? I never got it. I never bought into the hype. I never understood it. And I've been an Xbox, so I'm biased. I've been an Xbox guy from day one, okay? So I have to get that out there. So if you hear me spewing my stuff, I'm a biased Xbox player. But there's a reason for that. There's something about PlayStation has always felt pretentious. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like, like, oh, I own a PlayStation and blah 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 blah. I don't know, like, it just this seems on brand, I guess, for what's happening right now, and them being kind of unwilling to sit down and talk with Microsoft, talk with Xbox about a deal, finding some compromise. I mean, look at what they just did, Xbox did with Nintendo. I would have never thought that would have happened, but wow, how awesome, how creative, how innovative is that for the industry? And that's what we need more of, not more of this tired business model of expensive exclusives. And isn't that kind of spitting in their service platform in the face? Like, oh, we launched something to compete with Game Pass, but we really don't believe in it, so we're going to fund and kind of try to prevent Xbox or Microsoft from acquiring Activision Blizzard so we can continue to sell you those $70-$80 pop exclusive titles, especially Call of Duty. I'll stop there for now. Nick, I want to get your thoughts.
Okay, well, I'm going to hand it back to Bruno because I think he had more to say there. But I do want to point out that, and this news dropped pretty shortly after our last episode dropped, and it's kind of part of this. What Brad was alluding to there is that Microsoft actually came out and said that they have signed a deal with Nintendo that, contingent on them actually closing this deal, that they will get access to Call of Duty games for 10 years. So now that when new Call of Duty games are created, presumably the Nintendo Switch or whatever, maybe this is the intent is because, obviously that the processing power of the Switch is pretty inferior, but I'm sure they have a rough idea of the specs of whatever the successor to that is going to be in the next few years, that they can now create games and port them alongside, like they did in the Wii and even Wii U days to some limited extent. And there hasn't been a Call of Duty game on a Nintendo a console in many years. So that's a big deal. And I think that immediately deals damage to the idea behind this lawsuit, right? Because they're trying to say that they're gonna pull it all away. No, that deal's been signed. They even signed a deal with Steam. Gabe Newell from Steam said that wasn't necessary, but sure, we'll sign it. Thank you. Like, they're making every effort to put good faith out there. The FTC's lawsuit already has holes in it because they claim that the EU's equivalent of the FTC had stated that they were not being forthright and transparent when dealing with when Microsoft was dealing with them with this acquisition. They actually came back on the record and said, no, they were actually very good. That's not true. So there's a lot of issues here where I think the only thing this is going to take up is time and just waste what, the opportunities that could have been a lot earlier.
They're gonna make Microsoft drain a lot of money to win this out. So instead of it costing $69 billion, it's going to cost them, a lot more.
Yeah. What do you think, Bruno?
Well, I think it's going to go through either way. I think that you're right. It's just a matter of time. And Brad, you're right. It feels like it definitely reeks as though there's a PlayStation Call of Duty fan that works at the FTC and is like, no, we need to squash this and nip this in the bud right now because I like Call of Duty on PlayStation and I'm not going to Xbox. Well, that's fine and dandy. I think the real problem here is not exclusivity, and it has everything to do with Game Pass as a service. And I think the underlying crux here that we're kind of glazing over is something I mentioned a long time ago that Nick said, I don't think so. And I said, oh, I think so. And now it's happening, is Game Pass on TVs.
Yeah.
That is a huge thing. Microsoft's already signed a deal with Samsung to bring a Game Pass app to Samsung TVs. Now, if you're in the know of electronics, I can already see the wheels turning in Brad's head here. Who's Samsung's biggest competition in the TV industry, Brad?
Sony.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're never going to see Xbox
On a Sony
on
TV.
a Sony platform TV.
Yeah,
it's
right.
never going to happen. But we've yet to see PlayStation make that jump and say, you know what? Actually, we're going to do the same thing on our TV. And I don't think they ever will, because they want you to buy the PlayStation. They want you to take the roles. Okay? They want you to buy the PlayStation.
Yeah.
They want to nickel and dime
But
you,
Bruno,
right?
they can't even get it out there.
Happen.
They can't even make them. Like, they want you to buy something they can't make.
Right.
Like, it's so broken 8 million ways. It's really frustrating. But you're right. It's a really great Bruno Stradamus here, maybe. If Xbox strikes that or Microsoft strikes that deal with Samsung, and now all of a sudden Game Pass streaming is so much more accessible. Not all you need is a controller, right? We've talked about that, right? You don't even need a console anymore, and you pay for Game Pass, and it's just like pulling up, Netflix or HBO Max or Disney Plus on your TV. You just pull up Game Pass and play your games. Like, that is going to be a huge market shift in the TV industry, which Sony. Sony's has to be sweating bullets, and that's why they're putting so much time, effort, and energy into having this deal not go through. It really is.
They're floundering.
It's like the penultimate move to them really losing out on the market share. Like they're grasping at straws.
They really are. And you can say all you want. Well, they've got a great lineup. They've got a great lineup of exclusive games. Yes. And it takes them years to deliver those games. And they still put out subpar numbers compared to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Yep.
Right? That did twice the amount that God of War Ragnarok
It was broken at the end.
And it was broken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what does that tell you? It tells you it does not matter. It doesn't matter what exclusive games you have on the platform. What matters is how many people are into your subscription service. And out of the gate, Microsoft has always been ahead of PlayStation when it comes to subscription services. They made people pay for Xbox Live while PlayStation was free. And everyone touted and was like, yeah, well, it's free on PlayStation. It sucked. It was garbage. For years, it was hot garbage. Okay? And don't try and tell me otherwise. We all know it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't until PlayStation started making people pay for their internet service, their live service, right, that it got better, that they stopped having outages, that there were less problems with the whole thing. You can't sustain that free model, right, and expect it to go flawlessly all the time.
Yeah.
This is just another PlayStation move.
They don't understand the concept of loss leader, right? They need to understand that, like, Game Pass is a loss leader. Like, it gets people in the door, it opens the audience. They seeing red on their ledger is not something that is they're accustomed to. They just can't do it.
Well, at least not from a game standpoint. PlayStation is very used to going in the red for consoles, but not their games. And now they're starting to see a shift in that, right? You know, we're starting to see a difference in the way games are being consumed, how this is going about. And I think that when all is said and done, this FTC thing is just going to be frivolous. I don't think it's going to stop anything. Excuse me. I think if you're still on the fence of whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing, I would consider the fact that just what you said, Brad, there's $1 trillion to help support Activision versus nothing. If Activision was doing fine and Blizzard was doing great and nobody was in trouble and they weren't having problems behind the scenes with sexual harassment and, all that kind of stuff, they probably wouldn't be selling right now, but they are.
Yeah.
They got a big for sale sign out there, and Sony isn't coming to the door with $60 billion because they don't have it.
Right. Yeah. It's that simple. Yeah. There was a series of dominoes that had to fall for them to even be willing to be purchased. And I think that, all the scandals and
dominoes
controversy
sounds
surrounding
tasty.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, okay. Hey, no, look, sometimes stuff just pops in your head, man.
Just,
Bing bong.
Not a sponsor, but I think I know what Brad's going to get. Any dominoes open this late? But yeah, good stuff. And a really good conversation. We'll see how this plays out, but I think it's going to be a long and slow a drudge of a legal battle because Microsoft's not gonna back down. And I don't think the FTC is either. They have blocked large acquisitions in the past. But I'll tell you one thing you don't have to wait for courts to clarify, and that is our amazing website because the merch is ready to go. Okay. We've acquired all sorts of fantastic t-shirt designs, like our Quit the Build classic tee. And of course, Brad right now rocking our Quit the Build pop art design there in the Sonic style. Gotta go fast. You gotta go buy fast over at quitthebuild.com/merch. Check out all that swag. That's what Bruno calls squad swag, and we still have trouble pronouncing it to this day. And make sure to go to our amazing blog, check out our community page and our network page, where you can see our QTB network of awesome content creators, such as 1 Hour 1 Decision that just celebrated their 100th episode, and so much more. Our amazing streamers like Enzo is Mad, Kung Fu Penguin, and even our network musician, Beat It. Go check it all out. It's all there for you at quitthebuild.com. And of course, head over to our amazing Discord. Link is on our homepage. Just scroll to the bottom. We got games. We got Terry's. We got memes.
Nick, all I can say, it's the holidays, and I can tell you that there's some QTB merch in some of those packages back there for some people in my family. So it's the best holiday gift. You gotta grab some merch, wrap them up.
Yes,
we got our ugly sweater, an ugly T-shirt on there. You gotta. I mean, Christmas.
Show up.
The countdown is on.
Yeah.
Holiday parties are happening. Grab it now before it's too late.
Oh, man. Look at this. At the 11th hour, Bruno gets... And he thought he could sneak that in, getting quietly past an Arnie Palmy. You love to see it. He is set to go for another hour. After that rant, you need it, dude.
Yeah.
You both got fired up. That was fun to watch.
Well, I mean...
I'm empty.
Listen, I would say that we at QTB like innovation. We want more games for gamers, right? It doesn't matter if that's on PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo. And I gotta say that anytime there's exclusive games, it just means that you can't play it if you don't have that console. It's one of the reasons why I don't like third-party exclusive games at all. I don't like third-party exclusive games, which is why I don't want to see Call of Duty become a third-party exclusive for Xbox. It should remain on every platform. That's the way it's been. It's the way it should continue, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're here. That's what, we're here about at QTB, is being inclusive, not exclusive. We want you guys to join in. That's right.
Oh, write that down. Write that down.
Talk about segues. What a poll.
What?
Went from criticizing PlayStation to talking about our
Coming
brand,
to a TikTok.
our mission statement.
Exclusive.
Incredible. Get this man a cookie.
Oh,
man. And that's true.
One sip of an Army Palmy, look at this guy go. Jeez.
The creative juices just
I got
flow.
the juice. I got the juice. He's ready.
Oh my gosh. Nailed it, my friend. I love to see it.
I'm just excited that we have an awesome community that supports us, shows up for us, and really keeps us going. We're glad to bring you guys in on our journey, and we're glad that you are helping us steer the good ship, Quit the Build, as it were. So Yeah.
Should we get that
I'm
on the
excited
ship,
for all the
actually?
things we have come.
Can we talk about that?
The SSQTV.
Yeah, we're going to get a Sea of Thieves exclusive skin.
Yeah. One day.
We're on the way.
One day, that's the goal, right?
Well, I think it's time to sail this ship on home, Bruno. Give it to us.
Wow.
I'm gonna give you something. I don't know what it is. Oh, you know what? I do have something for just such an equation.
Occasion?
Equation?
An equation.
That too.
It's a math occasion. It's an equation.
It's in here.
Yeah,
somewhere.
He's digging.
Yeah, well, it's cool.
Yeah. I thought I had it. I thought I had it in here.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
We might just need...
man, I handed you the best segue.
Yeah, you really
did hand me the best. You did hand me the best.
Just play a thing. Just play a thing.
I thought for sure I had something really good here. I thought I was coming in with awesomeness, and then apparently somebody came in here and...
Have you got a cold?
You know?
I hope not.
For that.
I don't know.
There we go.
We're just gonna give you this, because I don't have anything else. For Nick and Brad, I'm Bruno.
For Bruno and Brad, I'm Nick.
For Nick and Bruno, I'm Brad.
Peace out. What it do?
Quit the Bill.